All right, it's a lovely day to you, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Elevate with Sammy. Today, I happen to have an author, Deliwe Mtungwazi, and she wrote a book, A Second Chance to Life. Deliwe, welcome to Elevate with Sammy.
Hello, Sammy.
Okay, hi. Now, can you tell us, where are you? Which part of the world are you?
Okay, I'm in England, London. I live in the outskirts of London, not the inside part.
How long have you been in England? How long have you lived in England?
I've been in England for about 30 years now. Yeah, I came a long time ago when I was young.
Nice, and how is it?
It's okay.
I
live in a quiet area where it's sort of like in the village part of London. There's not much going on, friendly neighborhood. We get to know about each other's lives and things. Very helpful people. And that's what I like about it.
That's nice. And how are you coping? We've been having coronavirus here in China. And how are you guys coping? How are things there? Are you on lockdown or you're back at work?
Well, it's been stressful, very stressful. We've been under lockdown for quite some time now, and we haven't been allowed to go out. But for me, it doesn't make much difference because I don't go out at all. But I found that my family, especially my son, he's found it very difficult, and he keeps on saying to me, "Mum, the four walls are driving me crazy." And my husband is also in and out, and we're on top of each other, really. But we're trying to adjust. We take it as it comes each day. We do feel isolated, and it's very sad that some people have lost their lives. But we're trying to stick to the rules and try to do it as we are told. But it's not easy. We've still got to go out and get some food. But I don't go out. My son drives, so he's been able to help out a lot.
That's good to hear, because I really think actually having people around you also makes you feel better during this time. Anyway, let's get on to our interview. Let's talk about the book that you wrote, A Second Chance to Life. When did you start writing? Would you say you were an author before?
I'm not an author.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a spur of a moment thing.
Right.
Lots of people wanted me to write down how I felt on the inside. It was the way I was presenting.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to share. I wanted to also find out what happened to me.
Oh, that sounds interesting. But how long did it take you to actually write it from beginning to?
Right.
Yeah.
At first, I didn't want to, but my husband, I don't know how he got me to do it. He just leaves the laptop next to me while I'm sat on the bed, and he would say to me, just click on it. Doesn't matter what you do. And then slowly it was a build-up. And eventually I found myself lost into typing words, letters, different things. And eventually I started writing the book. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it was meant for me.
Right.
And I needed to know more about what happened to the 6 months. But I wasn't there, but I was there. So each week I'd have therapy and I'd have sessions And I thought it appeared to be a therapeutic thing to me because I'd be lost into typing reams and reams of pages, and my husband never asked me. He just tiptoed and left me, and I'd be sat on my bed for hours on end. And then it just started coming out, the things that had been happening to me. I didn't think I'd remember, but funny enough, I did. So I just started writing, and my husband would say to me, "What have you written?" And I didn't really want to share it because it was all my stuff. Because some of the spellings I wasn't sure whether I could spell properly, and I was making sense of it all. But eventually, I ended up writing chapters and chapters, and it became a book.
Right. And how's the book doing? How's it doing? I know it's on Amazon. How is the book doing? And how's the response from people out there who've read it?
I'm going to talk about me, how I didn't want to share it. I would fight with my husband. He says to me, "You've got to share it." And I said, "No, it's for me." So I wrote it with bits in it just for me.
Right.
And he said to me, "Let me have a look." And I didn't want him to touch it because I said, "This is my baby. I want to keep it for me. It's not for anybody else." And he said, "Well, I heard you talking to your speech therapist and you said to her that you want to share it. So if you're going to share it, we need to see what you've got in it." My husband is an English literature specialist, and he does editing and all sorts. So reluctantly, I gave him the book, and he started pulling it apart, changing this, and I said, would have arguments over it. It took us months for me to come to terms that my baby was going to be pulled apart. So what we had an agreement that I would print out my original book, and then he could edit the other bits. So that's how A Second Chance to Life came to be.
Right. Actually, now that you're saying that, the title of the book, A Second Chance to Life, I know sometimes, I'm not an author myself. It's something that I would love to do in future because I feel like I also have so many stories to tell. But like when it comes to a title, because normally I think when people are buying books, a title is something that really attracts someone to say, "You know what, I think I'm going to read this. Oh, what is this about? A Second Chance to Life." How did you come up with that title of like, this is what I want my book to be called? Did you also have like, thoughts, or you had different titles and then you had to choose one or narrow it down to one, or it just was just one title that you said, okay, this is it? How did you choose that title?
I'm going to go back a bit. I was in a rehab where I had to learn to walk, do everything, because I came out a clean slate, like I said earlier on. And because I'm a Christian, at the rehab, they decided to introduce me to a pastor that came to the rehab, and she had sessions where she would have all the patients into the dining room, and then should have her church service there. But then at the time, I couldn't mix up with everybody else because I had just come in, and I was fresh from the hospital, and I wasn't really okay with mixing with people. So she used to come to my room instead. So initially she came, and I was sort of like closed in. And she eventually got me involved into her thing. And she used to just say to me, talk, just say anything. And I used to tell her about the stuff of where I was. That's when I was in the intensive care. And this was during Easter time when I got to meet her. And I used to say to her, what did God say to me? Why did I come back? Why is it that I fought so many battles and I'm here, set here? What does God want from me? What is it that He saved me to do? And the lady said, well, it's Easter time, and Easter time is the resurrection of God, and your story lines up with the resurrection. You've been ill, you were suffering a near-death illness, and you've come out of it, and you're here. So this could be your second chance to life. And that's how Second Chance to Life became that name. So I took a hold to that name, and I thought, one day I'm going to need this name. And this title that I've now got meant a lot to me then, because she made me understand that I went through all that, nearly died, and I'm here. And therefore, it's a new life, a new beginning, and a second chance to life with my family. And that's how I then came home, and I decided with my husband, because he was saying, so what you going to call it? And I said to him, no, I've already got a name, and it's going to be a second chance to life. Because the lady that gave it to me explained the whole reasons behind it, and that's how it's going to be. So that's how Second Chance to Life became.
And then just to ask, I mean, like you mentioned before that, you know, when you wrote the book, it was more like, you know, it was more of your diary that you wanted to keep, that this is for you. But now that is out there, how do you feel about it? Like people reading it, how does it make you feel? Like people, because I went on Amazon and I've been reading some people writing feedback or reviews, rather, let me call them reviews. And so, and how does that really make you feel to actually see that, you know what, something that I thought was just for me, it's now actually, you know, having an impact in other people's lives? And would you want to actually maybe continue to kind of write more? Is it now taking you to another direction of like, okay, because sometimes I feel maybe when we do stuff, normally it's like, okay, maybe this is not going to work. But then when you see like, oh, aha, you know, you get that aha moment of like, okay, so this is it. So should I take this path? What are you trying to do about this book? You want it to be known, or it's just like a small thing? Are you looking at it in a big way of like, I would love the whole world to read about my story? Or you still want like just a few people? Is it like open to everyone? Can we translate it in China and make it in Chinese and just have people read about it? What's the plan?
Yeah, I remember as we went through the stages of the book being born. That's what I want to call it. So I would have different feelings. So I would start from the feeling with the self-publisher, the person that published the book. I wasn't sure how people were going to be thinking about my thoughts. I worried about what people are thinking right now. What are they saying? Because I'm a new writer. This is my first book. And initially, I didn't want to share it. So it did worry me. And I'd go and call my husband. I said, "Can you sit down? Somebody just told me they bought my book. So they're going to be reading about my book." And I'd go, "Oh, my God." And he'd say to me, "It's okay. People are different. People are going to say different things. So you're going to have to welcome whatever everybody is thinking about the book." now that the second chance to life is out there, I am okay about it. I'm all right because I know that it's going to be a message to people. And it's a book that's unusual. It's not like a novel or anything. I do wish that people would get a message from it because it carries a message. Right. And this message, and I do hope that it would enable them to get their own miracle out of my miracle. And you talked about the second chance to life growing. I don't know. I'm still praying every night that each household gets to have my book. Not that because I want it to be a bestseller. No, my book is like a tool. It's like a tool for your own miracle. So I might get to write another book, I hope. I've been thinking about it. So my next book will be about marriage. That will be a toolbox for marriage. And then so forth and so forth. But for now, I would love my book to be well known. I'd like it to be translated because I would want it to be open. I've made peace with it.
Right.
But I still do worry about the feedback because the feedback, I always want it to be nice, but then I have to be realistic.
Of course.
People are different.
People are different, yes.
Yeah, so I'm at the edge. I'm sitting at the edge and I'm like, okay, so far so good. I've got good responses. But I am mindful that some people would view it in another way. And I'm okay with that.
Of course. I mean, everything has people that would say something and other people will think negative, some will be positive. But now I've got a question that I just want to ask. I mean, second chance, do you think, or maybe your life right now, would you think it has changed from where it was before the accident and all, before the book, now that is it, do you think that there are things that have changed to say, oh, maybe back then I used to be like this, but now because of this, of the second chance, I'm totally, totally different. Has anything besides your healing, has anything really changed about who you are now compared to who you were before? Like to say, okay, after this is a new me, like totally new, as in, or you're still the same person, but who just went through something?
No, I'm a changed person now. I know that God is there because I don't even, it wasn't my own doing for me to have fought all them things. Because I look back and I say, I haven't got a special blood or special miracles and stuff. I'm the same as the next person, same as you. So I'm special and God favored me. So I'm changed now. I don't do this, not that I used to do a lot. I pray more and I'm always thinking, what else does God want me to do? And I want to pay back. So I've now started doing a course of counseling.
Right.
Because I want to give back. I feel that I owe it for me to pass on. It's not for me to keep the miracle. It's not for me to keep the testimony. It's for me to share it.
And are you saying now it's like counseling? What did you used to do before? What was your profession before?
I'm a jack of all trades.
Okay, I love that. Aren't we all?
Jack of all trades. Right, I'll start off. I was a teacher, still a teacher, primary teacher. And then I went to specialize to be a visually impaired teacher. Learned to teach Braille. And then went to university again. He's a social worker. I'm a children and families social worker. Very stressful job. And now that I'm a new me, I knew that I could not go back and do that stressful rushing around and everything. And I remember one day I was sat at home feeling sorry for myself, and I had counselors come to talk to me, and she went, "You're a very clever girl. You've done so many things. Your life hasn't ended. You could do something." And I thought, "What?" And she went, "Anything you could do." And she said to me, "Have you thought about counseling?" I know she left me with that, and she left me puzzled.
Right.
And I was really feeling sorry for myself. She said to me, "Let's have a look at your folder." And in my folder, I've got so many courses in there. So she looked in this folder and she said, "You need to stop crying." And she said to me, "From where you are, you can start and rebuild your life. You can do something else. You can do anything." I thought I was finished. I thought that was it. And then she suggested counseling, and she said, "Sleep on it. And we'll talk about it next time." And when she came, because she used to come every week, and when she came, I'd already signed up, joined, and I'm now studying at home on my bed with my computer, and I'm enjoying it.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Right.
So eventually, I'm gonna be a psychotherapist.
Wow. I wanted to find out, are you taking speaking engagements and stuff, like maybe speaking to people who've been through what you've been through, or it's on the shelf right now, you're not doing that? Are you doing that? Are you open to doing that? Like maybe when you go with your book and try and talk to people about it?
I'd love to. You are the first one that has decided to get me to talk about my book. I do talk to people on Facebook. I wasn't a Facebook person, but I had to go somewhere with the coronavirus. Yes, I do want to talk to people about my book. I would love to have a platform where I could explain.
The reason why I do this particular show, Elevate with Sammy, is basically, for me, it's actually there to try and motivate and inspire people, people who might be giving up, people who might think, what, maybe this life is not for me. I've tried, like the example that you're saying, that you had a friend was saying, I've tried. So just bringing people who have been to those extremes, who have managed to come out of that. So this is what it's all about, to try and touch someone out there who might have been or who's still in a situation that you've been, but then when they look at you like, oh, okay, so if she did it, I think I've got a chance, just to give people, to motivate people to actually not think of those negative thoughts, not think of like, okay, I failed, not to think, because sometimes we tend to give up on ourselves. Like, okay, this is it, I can't do this anymore and stuff. But if someone comes to you and say, you know what, I've been through this and stuff, and then you start thinking like, oh, okay, so there's someone was out there, who's been through this, and they're actually gone out there. And what you're doing now is something that is really powerful, of saying you've been in that situation, but you didn't just decide to say, you know what, that's it, it happened, but you then took it up to say, I'm going to write it down. And someone out there, maybe someone who's also in that bad, is reading like, oh, okay, so there is hope. So this is this particular show is all about, and that's why I'm having you, because as of now, I then want to shift you now to go back to tell me what really happened, because I know maybe people who are listening to us are like, what are these women talking about? What is she, What really happened?
What happened to her? Yeah.
Yeah. What really happened now? Can you tell us what happened to you? What changed? What happened?
You mean for me to
Like, you get sick. What happened when you got sick? Was it you just got sick?
No.
Yeah. I want you to take me there now. I want you to take me.
Yeah. Okay. I was like any regular person, going to work and coming back and rushing around, getting food, doing that, and go to bed. So one particular day, I was working somewhere far where I would drive to do my thing. I was doing an agency work, and that particular day, I thought I was okay. I didn't think I was ill. But then I had some bizarre things happening in between. So I went to work, and when I got to work, I got on with my work. And little did I know that although I thought I was okay, I wasn't okay. There was something happening to me, and I wasn't aware of it. And somebody else noticed that I wasn't okay. And this was I call this lady an angel, because she never told me. She went and told the boss that Deliwe is not feeling well. And then the next thing, I was called to the office, and I'm like, oh, what is it? I'm busy doing my work. You know, agency work, you need your money. Can't be hanging around. And she went, would you sit down, please? I'll give you a cup of tea. And I'm like, cup of tea? I need to be working. And from there on, I had to be told to go home. That was before the job was finished. And I drove home, and my brain was shutting down.
Right.
I collapsed behind the steering wheel.
Wow.
On my way home. Just before I got home, that's when I collapsed behind the steering wheel. And the next thing I know, I fell into a coma. I was taken to the hospital, and after that, I don't know what happened to me. And I woke up a month later, just before Christmas.
Which year was this? When was this?
This was 2017.
Okay.
November.
Wow.
So I collapsed towards the end of November and woke up just after Christmas.
Wow.
So I was on life support. For that entire time. All my organs packed up. I was on dialysis. I had a lung that was stopping me from breathing. I went deaf and blind.
Wow.
And the doctors gave up on me, and they say, do not resuscitate. And obviously the hospital where I was initially, they gave up on me, and my sisters decided that I could be transferred to another hospital, which was more advanced than the one where I was. And I made a U-turn from there. I survived.
Wow.
And that's what happened to me.
Wow. Wow. That's so when you had that accident, were you injured like outside, or there were internal bodily injuries, or?
Well, the rest is when I had to put together and found out what happened to me. I stayed in the hospital for a month in the intensive care, 3 months, 3 to 4 months in the hospital because I had to undergo some operations because one of my kidneys was damaged and I still had breathing problems. And then got transferred to the rehab. That's where I had to learn to walk, talk, eat, sleep, recover from the operation. And they taught me how to look after myself. I couldn't come home straight away because I was still not well enough to look after myself. So I stayed there for a month and then eventually came home after 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I'm going to ask you this. I know, what would you think really kept you going? What kept you going? Because I know sometimes hearing the news like, oh, maybe your kidneys are this, your organs are shut down. It's like on your own sometimes it's like, no ways, But what kept you kind of saying, you know what, I really need to go? Or what kept you going on? What is it what was going on in you?
My faith.
That's something that you held on to say, you know what?
My faith. I got stubborn faith.
Right.
That never gives up, because that's what the doctors kept saying to me. You have got the will to leave. You just fight. Because they didn't think I'd make it.
Right.
They never thought, well, my family didn't think I'd make it either. My friends also, because they got to find out, and when they came to see me, they just cried. How I know that they cried is when they were now telling me what happened to me. And they said, we never hoped that you'd survive. You were just skin and bone. You were a size 4.
Wow.
I'm now a size 18. So I used to wear baby clothes.
Wow.
And I remember my sisters used to say, oh, we want to find the smallest size, because all the other normal sizes, they couldn't fit me. So I think they ended up going to get teenage baby clothes. Not baby, I mean like a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old cloth. I remember my son, when he initially saw me covered in tubes from literally everywhere.
Right.
To cut my locks, I had long locks, they cut them off because they needed to attach a tube somewhere. And my son took a picture, and when he saw me, because he had to go back to university and he couldn't be there all the time. So when he came, that was when I had gone down into the ward from the intensive care. He looked at me and he went, how do you do this, Mum? Where'd you get this power from? Where'd you get it? I don't understand you. You were covered in tubes. And you now only got 2. How do you do it? Of course, I couldn't say anything. I just said, him above must really love me.
Right.
And only him could do this for us so that we could have the second chance to life. And I just hugged him and I held him in my arms as he sobbed, because he said to me, I never thought you'd make it.
Just also, whilst we're still there, I mean, you're saying that the faith also, made you say, but I just want to see like the support. It seems like you also had the support from your family that were there for you. Because sometimes when people decide to give up, it's like, maybe no one really cares about me, let me just give up. It's more like you had your faith, but also you had people around you that you're like, you know what, I want to get out here and go to my son. I want to get out here and go to my family. So you had that support of your family as well, hey?
I did. My family set up prayer groups everywhere. My friends were praying at the workplace, with friends, with family. My family set up a WhatsApp group where they used to just pray. Everybody that I knew, because most of my friends are Christian, they were praying and their prayers were answered. So it was more of me seeing my family coming in every time with masks, aprons, gloves, because they weren't allowed to just walk in. I had to be in a quarantine place, and just me seeing them there spurred me on. I remember the day when they removed the tube. My son, my family was around me, and they were all excited, and I was wondering why were they all excited, because I was confused. And my son kept saying to me, you can talk, Mom. I can hear you. You can talk. But I was trying to get my to start kickstarting my kidneys to start breathing on my own, and just them being there, coming every day, was enough to give me that get up and fight. Yeah, my family was there
Just
every day.
really, really good. Like you're saying, earlier on you mentioned that you're now working with a speech therapist. So does it mean that this accident, it also affected your speech? You're blind, you couldn't speak, so all those things.
Yes. Initially, the doctors gave my family a prognosis that I was going to come out brain damaged. I had meningitis in my brain, pneumonia, sepsis, all sorts of infections that got into my brain and got together with the ear infection, and they started killing the organ. So,
Yeah.
The speech therapy, I had so many therapies. I had the physiotherapy because I couldn't walk. I had the speech therapy. The speech therapy was to repair the damage that the meningitis had done to my brain. They did an initial assessment in the hospital when I was in intensive care, and they found that the damage, they suspected that some damage had happened, but they didn't know to what extent. So when I then came out of coma and I was meeting other nurses coming in, I had the dementia nurse, and the dementia nurse was to try and do the memory thing, to try and see if I remember my name, what day it was, what's happening today, what do you understand, why you are here. And they, from that assessment, they found that I wasn't saying the right thing. So they then did an MRI scan, and then they found that the meningitis had done not a big damage, but a mild damage So the therapy was to repair and to enable me to have my thinking abilities back, memory back, remembering things, sequencing. There were just mild things really, but the major thing didn't happen, but the mild understanding you, responding back, remembering what to say to you. Because sometimes, if you notice, I do forget, but I'm okay now. But they say it will take time. But then they were shocked when she found me with the book. She said, "How did you write the book?" And I said, I didn't write the book. He wrote the book.
Right. And how are you feeling now? How are you now?
I don't have hallucinations. I don't have nightmares. I don't have sweat at night where I would wake up and I'd be crying. The day I finished writing the book, I was set free.
Oh.
That was the end of it. And the book, I know it's there. I've taken them all out of me and put them in there. And I think that's what I believe God wanted me to do. To get it out and put it there and share it. So I feel free and happy. But some people can get strength from my strength, can have hope from my hope, can face whatever it is, knowing that somebody else out there faced a bigger challenge. And if mine is bigger or smaller, I can do it. So, yeah.
Right. So now that brings me to a question of like, if people really want to read this, I know you saying when you wrote it, after you finished, you really felt like you set free. Now, what do you think it's going to do to people who are reading it? Is it going to also give them strength? Is it more of a motivating book? Is it a book that is saying, you know what, go out there and fight for your life? Is it a book that is saying that, you know, the life is full of possibilities? What is the message? What do you think is the message in the book? What are you saying? What is just the overall message? What are you trying to tell people?
Like I said, initially, there were bits and pieces of me talking about just my experience and whatever. But I had to have some sort of a grounding, some sort of a starting point. So initially in my book, I'm talking about me growing up.
Right.
Not knowing what the Bible is all about. I'm talking about me, my family, and my parents getting us all dressed up, and we go to church, and we just do the singing. The pastor talks about the verses, and we in Sunday school, and church was finished. So I'm talking about my experiences of struggling with the Word of God, understanding the Word of God. What is it? What can I do? I know there's a Bible, but in there, I didn't know how I could make it into the now. So I then started going to a different church from the church I was going with my parents. I went to a Pentecostal church, and in that church, it does happen in all the other churches, by the way, I was told, but the Word of God comes out of the Bible and you use it for now. It's not just in the Bible, you leave it there and it's gone. So I was taught that the Word of God, you could use it in the now, in any situation. So when I wrote my book, I'm talking about me struggling to say, I've been praying, Lord, I've got this big challenge. Where are you? You need to come and save me. You need to get me out of this. And I would not get what I would want from God. I'd get it in a different way. But then I didn't know that you have to have the faith, you have to have the belief, and then put it into action and for it to happen. So I'm talking about my struggles and how I had to learn to get the word of God to do something for me. And I'm teaching people in the book to say, here are the verses, and this is how I do it. So I put my name into the verse and personalize it for me.
I love that. I'm going to tell you something about me. I was also in a coma once. But mine was 7 days. So I also collapsed and went into coma for 7 days. And for me, when I came out, I'll tell you this. When I came out, I feel like, I don't know, I need you to also try and tell me if the feeling is the same. So what I'm saying is, when I woke up after those 7 days and went back home, I feel like, I was someone totally different. The strength that I had. I mean, before then, I feel like I was just content with everything around me. I was okay with life. But after that, I tell you, I became this go-getter. I feel like I woke up a different person altogether. Before, I used to be content, I think I was content with life and everything around me. I felt like, okay, I think I'm okay. But after I woke up, it was more like there was just something in me that now just wants to go, push myself.
I'm not scared about death anymore. You're well.
More like, I'm pushing myself to do stuff. It's like I'm seeing that I'm actually capable of doing certain things. There were things that I never thought I could do.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like I feel like I can do more. Before then, I was just okay with everything, with life being slow and everything else. But right now, I feel like I'm not, I'm striving to do more. It's like another day for me is, and I feel like it's slow for me now, It's like nobody really understands what I want to do. And I keep having these ideas of things that I want, and I feel like I'm moving faster than everyone else. I don't know. How are you? How is it like with you?
They say to me, like I said to you, I wrote this book in 6 months, and my husband he's like, will you stop? You want to do this? You want to do that? You want to do this? You want to do... I can do anything.
Yep.
And I am not scared. That's the good thing about what's happened to me. You are right. And I think it's irritating my family at the moment because I seem to be ahead of them.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you're so slow. Like today, we actually had a bit of a running in. And he said to me, I'm only me. And I said, you're too slow. You've got to hurry up. You've got to do this. Yes, I have changed a lot. I'm not the me that I used to just hang around and not take things seriously.
I just had to ask because, I only...
Yes, right.
I wanted
He's
to...
looking at me. Go on. Yes, I want to do a lot. I haven't got enough hours in a day because I'm up till 1 o'clock. It's just to be, what are you still doing? I've got to do that. I've got to do this. I've got to... Because it's watching you is like watching somebody just going crisscrossing. You're making me dizzy. Yes.
Because I was saying to myself, I need to ask someone who's been through the same with me to tell me.
Yes,
like there's this power, this energy, this, in me that is like ready to change the world, ready to do, and everyone just doesn't understand it. But I'm glad. Now I'm just gonna ask you, if you were to speak to a person who is right now currently maybe in a bed, currently in a coma, currently in therapy, all those processes that you had to go through, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that you do not do things in your own understanding and your own ability. You do not give up. You need to know that you're not walking this challenge or whatever it is you're going through alone, you've got somebody there, your restorer, your maker, your savior, and he is there right now listening to you. You only got to ask. You need to tell him what exactly you want to see happening, because he doesn't know until you tell him.
To declare what we want to see happen in our lives, not just keep.
You cannot wait to that you are starting to declare now.
Wow, and it definitely is working for you. I mean, you.
Always. Yeah, I'm renewed every day. If you saw my pictures, I don't know, I've got them on Facebook. I was like a little old lady, but I am renewed every day. I'm renewed. I change every day. My husband says to me, you change every day. It's like you've got this glowing grace on your face. It's like you've got this favor. Look at you. He cannot help seeing the difference in me because he watched me change. And people don't recognize me. They say, oh my God, what are you doing? The word of God is medicine. It's like the pill that you take. Every day, as you say, you'd be taking your pill. It is medicine. The word, you just say, you know, I've got the grace of God around me. I am beautiful because the Holy Spirit resides in me. You keep saying things about yourself. I haven't even got makeup on, just lipstick. And I'm just renewed.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you. And you too. You too. Yes.
No, thank you so much. Honestly, I would love to share the book here and stuff. Actually, I'm gonna be getting in touch with you. I think if it's okay with you, I would love to plan a webinar because I'm feeling that energy in you. You know.
Oh, yes. Get hold of me in this house. We've got the anointing, and when I speak, my son comes running. I said, you better join me. And when we pray, you know, you just need to, with this time and people dying and this coronavirus, you just need to have the hedge of God protecting you. You need to know that you're covered. You cannot just be doing things and say, oh, I know this. We've got the scientists. Who is putting the understanding, the wisdom in these scientists? It's him, isn't it? Yes, you can call upon me anytime, and my book is here. I want to show everybody. Am I allowed to show everybody?
Yes, you are. Of course, that's why we're here.
That's my book. It's a good toolbox that you can keep in your bag. I wrote it so that somebody else that is new or that doesn't know how to use the word of God can use it as a reference to say, today I'm not feeling well. There's verses in there, there are confessions in there, there are prayers in there, and you'll soon be able to make your own and adapt it to suit you.
Oh, that's so amazing. Honestly, I can't wait. I'll try and share the book with some of my friends here, and we read it. We've got a book club for women that we have, so I think I'll make it one of our book club books.
Oh, love. Yeah, that would be nice.
No, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us. And I actually look forward to reading the book more, and I'll definitely follow you, Jenny. Now, for people who would want to get hold of you, how do they do that? Maybe for people who would watch this, how would they get hold of you if they want to get in touch and know more about you and your book? Where can they find you?
Sure. I'm on Facebook. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Posting.
Yes. So
have you seen my pictures?
I have. I'm saying the general public, like people who are going to watch this show, some who might want to follow you so that they could be following your story, your journey. So they should find you on Facebook, on your Facebook page.
Or if there's another way you could help me to set up, because I'm new to all this.
Okay. All right.
Being a social worker, but now that I'm not practicing anymore, I would love to find a way. If you can help me in that area, but at the moment I'm on my little page on Facebook.
Okay.
That's where I am. But if there's somewhere that you feel could benefit the readers and people that want to get hold of me, then I'm willing to
do that.
Ask for your help.
All right. No, that's really good. I guess we'll do that then. Thank you for having you. Thank you for your time. This was really awesome. Really. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
That was good talking to you. And take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.